I'm Jillian Harris, 32, born and raised in Salem, Oregon. I thought I knew my family. For Mom's birthday, I planned everything perfectly. Salem lights, mariachi, cinnamon, and lime. I booked the best table, smiling hard. Streamers swayed above plates of tacos. For a minute, we felt normal again. Then Dad rose, glass high, eyes cold. "We're taking back the house. 48 hours. Laughter died. My stomach fell through tile. I searched his face for mercy. None came. Mom stared into melting candles. I left before the song began. Heels clicked like a clock counting down. Outside air burned, Oregon night suddenly thinner. Was my whole life built on sand? Have you ever faced something like this? Tell me in the comments. They thought I'd fold. I chose to fight. Salem never felt big. It felt watched. Our house hummed with quiet rules. Dad measured love in obedience and thrift. Mom perfected silence like polished silver. Brooke glittered. I learned to make myself small. Praise was rationed, like Sunday bread. I grew on crumbs and glances. My 10th birthday set the pattern. Brooke unwrapped a pink bike with ribbons. My box held a checkbook register. "For responsibility," Dad said, smiling thin. "Don't expect handouts, Jillian." Laughter skimmed the table, not touching me. I thanked them, voice tucked behind teeth. That night, I rode Brooke's old scooter. Wind stung worse than their smiles. At 12, I won the science fair. A volcano, wired to pulse like arteries. They promised seats in the front row. The curtain rose on 2 empty chairs. Afterward, Dad shrugged near the parking lot. "It's not Harvard, kid. Don't get cocky." Mom fixed my collar, eyes somewhere else. I carried the trophy like contraband. Money talk haunted every dinner. "Lights cost," Dad said, flicking the switch. "Warmth isn't free," Mom added, smoothing napkins. I got a job shelving paperbacks at 14. My paychecks went to groceries and family needs. When I asked for a school trip, Dad scoffed. "Be grateful we keep you here." Grateful tasted like cold potatoes. Grandma and Grandpa were the refuge. Cedar soap, peppermint tea, stories of Oregon rain. Grandpa whispered, "You're steady, kiddo. Build something slow." They hugged like shelter after storms. When they died, the house felt different. Air thinned, rules multiplied overnight. Brooke got their quilt, I got chores. No one mentioned their will. No one mentioned me. I learned quiet skills, sanding floors, fixing hinges, budgeting storms. I became useful and therefore tolerated. When I failed, the ledger appeared. "Debt," Dad said, tapping the page. "You owe for your keep." I slept lighter after that word. So when Dad said 48 hours, I recognized the blade. It wasn't sudden. It was tradition, sharpened. They raised me on scarcity. They'd soon learn what I'd saved. After college, I came back to Salem, older, quieter, sharper. The town hadn't changed, but I had. I rented the little house on Oak Street, the one my grandparents once called home. Peeling paint, cracked porch, rusted mailbox, but to me it whispered possibility. I worked at a local design firm by day, waitressed at night, saving every cent. While Brooke chased MLM schemes and brand deals, I built slowly, line by line. No applause, no validation, just focus. Every lamp I fixed, every wall I painted, felt like stitching something broken in myself. Dad still checked in with demands. "Your sister needs help again," he'd text. Mom sent guilt wrapped in recipes. "Family helps family, sweetheart." Each message carved another boundary in me. I learned to say no, quietly, consistently. Refusing didn't make me cruel. It made me sane. Weekends, I refinished floors, the scent of varnish clinging to my hair. I watched the house transform, oak gleaming, corners bright, a home becoming mine one nail at a time. Neighbors waved, thinking I owned it. I didn't correct them, not yet. When Brooke dropped by, she toured each room with a curled lip. "Cute, still feels temporary," she said. I smiled, swallowing the urge to reply. I'd learned silence could roar louder than words. At work, I earned promotions no one at home mentioned. When I bought a used car, Dad joked, "Look who finally made it to middle class." His laughter still cut, but it didn't wound. It echoed off armor I'd built myself. Nights stretched long with coffee and spreadsheets. I tracked every expense, built a savings goal, and marked milestones no one celebrated. 10,000 in the bank. Debt-free at 30. Still invisible to the people who raised me. Mom's calls became shorter, Dad's tone colder, Brooke's posts glossier. I stopped chasing approval, started chasing peace. If you've been through this, you're not alone. The quiet grind hurts, but it changes you. It teaches you patience sharper than anger. By the time I turned 32, the house stood firm, floors gleamed, garden alive. To them, I was still the quiet one. But quiet had teeth now. They called me silent, but silence taught me how to strike. Top of form, bottom of form. Success came quiet, like dawn through rain. I'd launched a side project, an interior app for small homes. Nothing fancy, just design tools and local vendor links. Then a Portland influencer featured it in a video. Overnight, downloads spiked. Emails poured in. Within weeks, I made more than a year's salary. I quit the design firm, terrified but free. My first big purchase was my dream, a Tesla Model Y. I parked it under the old oak tree, the one my grandparents planted decades ago. I imagined them smiling, proud. The girl who grew up counting coins now drove her success. That night, I posted a simple caption. "Hard work looks good in red." Hundreds liked it, including Brooke. I should have known that like was a warning. 2 days later, Dad called. "Proud of you, kid," he started, too cheerful. We were thinking of visiting, maybe stay a bit. The way he said "we" felt heavy. I hesitated. "It's not a good time." He chuckled. "We'll make it work." He hung up before I could answer. They showed up that weekend, unannounced. Mom hugged me tight, her perfume too sweet. Dad's eyes went straight to the Tesla. "So the app's doing well, huh?" he asked. Brooke leaned against the car, phone ready. "Smile, Jillian, for the family post." Click. My jaw clenched. Dinner was tension-wrapped in fake warmth. They toasted my success, then came the pitch. Dad slid an envelope across the table. "Our mortgage is in trouble," he said. "We thought, since you're doing great," Mom cut in, voice soft, practiced. "You could help us, just this once." Brooke nodded. "We're family, right?" I stared at them. The house I'd rebuilt, the car I'd earned. Suddenly, I was their safety net. Old habits whispered, "Say yes, keep peace." But something colder held me steady. "I've helped enough," I said quietly. Dad's smile faltered. Mom's tone sharpened. "After all we've done?" Brooke's eyes flashed. "You're unbelievable." The air thickened with old guilt, the kind that used to win every argument. Not this time. They left angry, muttering about family betrayal. Hours later, Brooke's post went live. Some people forget where they came from. Hundreds liked it. Comments followed fast. "Ungrateful daughter. Money changes people." My stomach nodded. The betrayal wasn't subtle anymore, it was broadcast. If you've been through this, you know that sting. The kind where blood turns to ice. I didn't cry. I documented everything, texts, posts, emails. Some part of me knew this was just the start. Because when they couldn't guilt me, they'd find another way to take what was mine. They came smiling for dinner and left plotting my downfall. Top of form, bottom of form, I didn't answer their calls. Silence became my weapon, sharper than words. But inside, something twisted, anger braided with clarity. They wanted power, not reconciliation. So I gave them neither. The next morning, I met with Ellen Sharp, a lawyer I'd once helped design an office for. Her handshake was firm, eyes direct. "Start from the beginning," she said. I laid out everything, the threats, the guilt, the posts. When I showed her the envelope from the attic, her brows lifted. "You said your grandparents owned the house?" "Yes," I said, "but I've been paying everything." She flipped through the documents slowly. "Jillian, your name's on half these records." My pulse surged. Half. Maybe enough. Maybe everything. Ellen tapped the title deed with her pen. "This could change everything. Let's verify it." While she filed requests at the county office, I focused on protection. I changed the locks again, installed cameras at every door. Dad's threats had turned colder, voicemails blunt and cruel. "You can't shut us out forever," one said. I saved each one, each word. Proof. Days later, Ellen called. "Come in," she said, tone unreadable. When I arrived, she slid a folder across her desk. "Your grandparents left the house to you outright. They were the true owners. Your parents never transferred the title. The room spun, not from shock, but release." "They lied," I whispered. "Worse," Ellen said. "They forged documents to claim ownership. We built the case that night. Fraud, misrepresentation, breach of trust. I signed every page with steady hands. I wasn't their daughter pleading anymore. I was a plaintiff." 2 weeks later, they showed up again. This time, I didn't open the door. Through the intercom, Dad's voice cracked. "Jillian, we can talk about this." "No," I said. "You can talk to my lawyer." He froze, stunned by the reversal. Mom tried next, tears trembling. "We're family, sweetheart." "Family doesn't steal," I said, calm as glass. Her sob turned hollow. The security light blinked red. They left. That night, Ellen filed the lawsuit. My grandparents' will was public record now, and Salem was small. By morning, neighbors whispered, "Did you hear about the Harrises?" The story spread faster than wildfire. I didn't post a word. I didn't need to. Silence spoke for me. In court, I sat straight as the judge read the claim. Forgery, identity misuse, inheritance concealment. Dad's jaw clenched. Mom's hands trembled. Brooke refused to look at me. The power they'd stolen dissolved under fluorescent light. If you've ever stood alone against family, you know the ache. But the truth is louder than shame. I didn't win that day, not yet. But I'd already reclaimed what mattered most, my voice. They built their power on lies, and I turned their lies into evidence. Top of form, bottom of form, months passed, soft as rain on glass. The court ruled in my favor. The house on Oak Street was legally mine, as it had always been. Dad and Mom faced fines, public disgrace, and a silence that finally meant something. Neighbors stopped them at the store, voices hushed with pity and blame. I didn't gloat. I just breathed, free for the first time in years. Brooke sent a message weeks later. "I'm sorry, I didn't know everything." I stared at the screen, remembering her posts, her lies, her laughter. Forgiveness came slow, like thaw after frost. I didn't reply. Some things heal in absence. I sold the house that summer. Every wall held echoes I didn't need. The profit covered my future and a donation to a shelter downtown. Their sign read, "Home for those rebuilding." I smiled when I saw it on opening day. That was the home my grandparents would have wanted. Now I live in a small apartment near the river. White curtains, lemon light, quiet mornings. No footsteps of control, no guilt in the air. My life is my own. I still work late nights, still sip coffee too strong, but it's peace that keeps me awake now. The kind that doesn't ask permission. Looking back, I don't hate them anymore. They taught me everything they didn't mean to, how to stand alone, how to build from nothing, how to protect what's mine. Family isn't blood. It's who shows up when the world burns. And I finally showed up for myself. If this story hit close to home, leave a comment, share your strength, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like mine. They tried to take my house, but I reclaimed my life.